This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Mattel Creations exclusive Masters of the Universe New Eternia Snout Spout figure. Original designs inspired by classic concepts. So, this one was another one of those Creations exclusives that were not able to ship to a number of countries, at least at the beginning. I am not sure if that was resolved or not. It sounded like some of the other countries opened up later on, and he was still available then. I am not sure about right now. On this side of the box, which I would generally consider to be the back of the box because of the way the fold is, but it also has pretty much the information on it. So we have a pretty nice picture of him kind of resting after, honestly, kind of looks like he definitely does not look like he was fighting a fire there. He looks like he was hacking away at snakes. So as we turn the box, there is a nice cover image going through showing him in warrior mode. And of course, when we go all the way around, we see the rest of the thing, image. And it does look pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. The artwork is beautiful. And we open it up. We've got a little side bit of information here. Snout Spout, heroic water-blasting firefighter. When the dark forces of Eternia pillage towns, Snout Spout charges into the blazing infernos set by their torches to save the villages from their intruders, be they the Skeletor or the evil horde. And for a brief bit of information, as you may or may not know, Snout Spout is actually an experiment from the horde. Captured Eternian experimented on. We first can pull out this little sleeve here, which shows on one side Snout Spout throwing water at Snake Men. It is funny that they mentioned Skeletor and the Horde, but everything else is Snake Men oriented on this packaging. And here we just have kind of an inside thing where we see statues of King Hiss and Queen Slither, or Lady Slither, and a throne. Kind of want that throne. A few snakes roaming around. But that does appear to be potentially the inside of this area on the front. So we got Snouty here. Packaged in the fun ways that they like to package stuff to be annoying. Sadly, they just had a very plain black background on the actual figure itself. We also have a box of equipment, so we'll set that aside for now. The bonus with this Snout Spout is that his snout is actually articulated as well as everything else, as per normal. There is a hinge on here at the end, but I can't get this one to really move at all. There we go, a little bit. Kind of wants to break. Then we got another hinge here towards the middle of that. Another hinge there. An additional hinge here. And another hinge up here. And it feels like they might be on ball joints as well. So each one of the trunk hinges does have a peg so you can spin it around, making him quite possibly the most articulated figures in Masterverse by default. Well, interesting to note is that he actually does have a light piping as well, which if I had realized that earlier, I probably would have considered bringing a flashlight to stick into the back of his head. But hopefully that's showing up on camera. I think this is the first time I've seen light piping on a Masters of the Universe figure. His head is on a traditional ball joint with a little bit of a hinge here. Although this does not want to move at all on mine. I'm afraid if I try to do that any further, it's going to break. Maybe if I were to heat this up, I could get it to move. On the head, his ears are also articulated, which is cool. And so are the tusks. So the tusks have a spinge, and the ears have a hinge, so he can flap away. His shoulders, of course, have the hinge going up and down, and can also spin. Though the shoulder pauldrons on his uniform do hinder it, and they are a separate piece from the rest of the harness, so you could take those off if you wanted. And then you have full mobility, although I keep hitting his freaking ear. We have a bicep cut, so we have a swivel there. Single jointed elbow, which I feel kind of dumb at the moment because I thought Masterverse had double jointed elbows, and this one does not. But I don't have any other Masterverse figures around me right now to double check that. But then again, maybe it's because they created a new forearm piece here that they went cheap on that, if that's the case. A little supplemental bit of information for this figure. I think without the double jointed elbows, it is really difficult to get him into a good two-handed grip with his axe. As you can see, he barely holds on to the bottom of it. And like I said, I think that's got more to do with the lack of the double joint, so he doesn't have as much range going on there. So that's something to be aware of, and I didn't notice that until I started taking some of the photos. We have a spin on the hand and the in and out hinge, though it is a bit hindered by the gauntlet, which, although it is a separate piece of plastic, it does feel like it is glued in place, so we can't take it off. We have a boob cut, so he can spin his upper torso around like so. Oh man, everything's going out of whack here. His belt is articulated in that it has a pressure sensor here, I guess. You know, if you have like a hose pressure or an air tank, they'll have the little thing that gives you the warning. Although, if that is what this is supposed to represent, this part should not be moving with the hand. We do have a waist swivel, and it is a swivel, not a ball joint. So you don't have that extra articulation. That's all in the upper body. We have the kick out, so we can hinge out that way. We can kick forward, yay far, which is actually a pretty good height there, better than what we've been getting lately. And we can kick back like that before the butt hinders it. And on a side note, he doesn't really have a butt crack. There's like a little dent back here, but that's about it. I know I focus on the weirdest things. We do have a thigh cut, so he can swivel it all around. The upper or the lower thigh is a new piece because it does have these bands sculpted in, kind of like with the biceps also have bands sculpted in. And I wonder if those would be for the Horde, like when they do some of the Horde characters. We have a double jointed knee with a super stiff joint on this side. Let's try the other side. There we go. So we can do the double jointed bend there so we get the better than 90. This side is probably going to have to be heated up later to actually loosen that joint. I do not want to have a replay of the Skeletor from the V-Friends set. His belt slipped off really easily, and you can see that he does have like a new logo there that to me it looks like a pair of tusks making an X. We do have the boot cut, so his leg can spin around at the calf. We have a hinge and a pin, so we can spin it like so. Let's go ahead and put his belt back on. If we can. I really hate this kind of connection. I'm not going to lie. That really does come off way too easily. Because if it's supposed to be sitting over his... Do I have it upside down too? That might be part of the problem. Yep, that seems to have been part of the problem. Stupid me. Put his pauldron back in place. He's got a pretty good foot base here, so let's go ahead and leave him like that for the moment as we open up his box. I will note that the boxes that Mattel supplies with their Masterverse figures like this are a lot stronger than the boxes that Hasbro supplies with their G.I. Joe classified figures. Take all that out. Take all this out. So we've got a pair of fists. Not gonna lie, I rarely ever use the fists. They do have the in and out articulation, though it is angled slightly because of the fist. We have his Ask O Chopping. The original Snout Spout also had a little thing on the bottom here that was designed to kind of mimic, well, I should say it was like a little thing where you could set the axe like this and put his trunk on it to hold it in place while you squirted the water from him. But since this guy doesn't squirt water, that is unnecessary. Though it is kind of interesting that it does look like they designed the backpack to kind of mimic the old water pack that came with him in a way, because there is a little clear spot up here, which on the vintage toy was where you would fill it. On the bottom of that box too, we see what all the pieces are here. What we apparently didn't have is a thing that tells you where everything plugs into him at. So let's see if we can figure this out. We have the two hoses like this, which up. Oh, okay. So we've got these little loops here, and they do appear to be the same on both sides, which will attach to his belt. And it is a very loose attachment to it. And then we have the little plug-in here that looks to plug into the back of the backpack, like so. In theory, like so. Dear God. Okay. We have a smaller cable with two hole plugs, which would seem to hook into the top and then the back of his head. Leaving us with this little hole here with apparently nothing to go into it. And once you have the hose connected there, it wants to keep his head pointing downward. There's also a hole in here, like you could potentially plug these things into that too. So you could plug the cord into there. Actually, that's... Oh, dude, I think I know what this is supposed to do. Okay. Let me see. So if we plug that into there, then his axe ends up becoming a sprayer handle. Except for it's not attached to the water. Let's see. But does the blast effect also? Because you can put the blast effect into that too. And of course, the blast effect can go into his snout, giving us what is quite possibly the lamest looking blast effect here. And once again, it appears because of the design of the blast effect that it is not compatible with any other figure thus far, which is one of Mattel's big failures when it comes to effects. So I thought I had something there with this, and I think that may have been that concept, right? The hose going like that, but because the part that connects into it is that. Unless we do something like this. So now it's connected back there. So it looks like they tried to create a bunch of different options for how to make it look like he's shooting water other than the elephant head. But they all look kind of silly. And I'm still not sure what, because that also looks like it's designed to plug in, but sort of like that maybe? I don't know. They give you a lot of interesting options with here, and almost none of them make sense. On the plus side, it does appear, though, that we can attach the axe to his backpack. I'm gonna go ahead and swap out a fist just for the heck of it. Yeah, see, the in and out articulation here is kind of a little bit angled up, but so there you have it. We have Snout Spout Masterverse version in all the snouty spouty glory. This should get a turntable to use for this. It's a pretty cool figure. I still have the same issue I have with the recent new Eternia ones, though, and that's that there isn't an alternate variation on him. So, like the first new Eternia He-Man and Skeletor, you could make them look more or less like He-Man and Skeletor. Even Whiplash and Clawful and Ram Man also had like alternate sets of gear or heads to make them look like they are different from the standard Masters of the Universe characters. Snout Spout doesn't really come with that. He's just got a little extra equipment on there. And his head looks kind of like it was designed for the 2000 cartoon. It does look a lot like the alternate head that came with the Origins version too. So you had the squirting head and then you had the posable head. So anyway, this was our look at the Masterverse Snout Spout. Let me know what you think of him. Did you manage to get him on Mattel Creations, or were you one of the people who were blocked out because you didn't live in one of these shipping countries? So please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace and love.